Marvelites. We are back here on the live stream. I am Tamara Krinsky. I'm here with
Lorraine Sink, and we're joined by the wonderful writer G. Willow Wilson. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You are, of course, writer of Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel's everywhere on the con floor. I don't know how much you've actually been out on the floor, but I've seen so many cool costumes, so many cool cosplayers, so many people who've taken dresses and made their Miss Marvel mark. Have you gotten to see some of the fans and see some Kamalas out there?
Yes, I had the great privilege of doing a spotlight panel yesterday, and there was a whole group of Miss Marvel cosplayers,
Kamala
little girls, grown-up women, even a couple of guys who were rocking the red tights.
Love it.
It was fantastic. So it's really the reason why I love coming to stuff like Comic-Con is to get to meet the fans, to get to meet the readers, and the amazing costumers, and just all being a community together.
I love that so much. Now, Kamala has come a long way. She's been around for a few years now, and she's such a mainstay. I feel like she's with the all different Avengers. She's interacting with more of the Marvel Universe. What has it been like pulling more people from the Marvel Universe into her little microcosm of New Jersey?
It's been really fantastic. I have to say, one of my favorite things now that Kamala does have more exposure in the Marvel U is to be able to have guest appearances by other characters in her ongoing series, to have Iron Man in there, to have Wolverine and Captain Marvel, and to just have that juxtaposition of these characters who are known in this really big, cinematic, grand universe in our little tiny corner of Jersey City, and to have that kind of strange balance going on. So it makes for a lot of comedy, a lot of cool character moments, and it's just been so much fun to write.
And you're tying into Civil War II right now, and I am loving Kamala and Miles Morales, like teen smarty pants, competing against each other. Yep. What has it been like writing for Miles?
He, I think, really broke a lot of ground when he first came out as a character. He's got a great fan following. There's so much overlap, I think, between him and Kamala personality-wise and story-wise. And so it was just a really natural fit to bring him into the Ms. Marvel ongoing. And I think people had been waiting for that kind of interaction between them for a long time.
Yeah.
And especially now that they know different things about each other through Avengers, but neither of them knows the whole story about each other. So to play around with that was really fun. And he's a great character. I love to get my hands on him. Adrian Alphona draws him so well.
Beautiful, yeah.
So it was that was a really fun issue to write, for sure.
I know once you see them together, you're just like, oh my gosh, yes.
Exactly.
Why aren't these people together all the time? It makes complete sense to me.
Totally.
Now, Kamala's going to have some cool things. I'm sure lots of things will come up.
Yet.
Okay.
Right now we're just getting a lot of love. We've got Gavin Perkins. G. Willow Wilson is on the Marvel SDCC, one of my favorite Marvel writers. Yeah, G. Willow Wilson is in the stream. Huge fan of Ms. Marvel, and I'm so happy that Kamala is getting a Marvel figure.
Yes. Merch. We're so psyched.
On the live stream, love her and love Kamala. So.
Oh, so much love. So Kamala is tying into Civil War II with all of what comes with that, a lot of problems in Civil War II, and particularly a complicated relationship potentially with Captain Marvel.
Yes.
I mean, it's really interesting to see your heroes not always being perfect.
I think
how did that come into play?
When we were first discussing Civil War II and all of the pieces that would go into that, I saw immediately how this was going to be a huge issue for Kamala.
Yeah.
Because obviously Carol has been an enormous influence on her. She took on the mantle of her earlier name, her costume, her ideals, and
literally turned into her.
And literally turned into her. So, at the same time though, she's had this wonderful kind of mentor-mentoree relationship with Iron Man now that she's on the Avengers, and so she feels really torn. And I think this is really the first time in the series where she's had to decide what's more important, the ideals that I want to live by, or remaining faithful to somebody who I love and look up to, and kind of discovering that, as we all do growing up, your idols are sometimes have feet made of clay. So,
It's funny hearing you say that. We've been actually talking with a lot of writers this whole Comic-Con so far about that idea of when there's a bigger issue at stake, do you side with the people who you love, the people that have shaped you and that you've been loyal to? Is friendship what determines what side you're on, or is it the idealistic argument?
Totally. Yeah, it's a real thing, that we all navigate in our own lives. And so I feel like that's just sort of part of what makes Ms. Marvel, the kind of book it is that she's not just tackling the big cosmic stuff.
Right.
She's wrestling with the kind of emotional issues that I think we can all relate to on some level.
Oh, absolutely. Now, Kamala's also going to be crossing over into a new team with Marvel Now, which I think we actually have a panel coming up today about Marvel Now, so I'm sure we'll be hearing more tidbits from there. But, you know, she's going to be on Champions, which is kind of a teen team. That's super cool. Will we be seeing Champions coming into her title? How's that going to affect you?
I think that, you know, this is definitely a shift that's going to affect her ongoing. I think the team up on Champions is so great. It's such a natural fit for all those characters to be together. So I think we'll definitely be seeing more of them in her ongoing. And I'm really looking forward to Amadeus and some of those guys kind of making their entrance into Jersey City. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a big change.
I love that. And you bring such amazing humor. It's like one of my favorite things. I was doing signings yesterday and people were like, oh, I like the movies, but I'm still learning about the comics. And I'm like, awesome, this is what you should read. And I almost always recommend Miss Marvel and Squirrel Girl because I just feel like they're such easy books to jump onto. They have wonderful heart, wonderful humor. I mean, where do you think that humor comes from for you?
You know, that's a good question. It's kind of always been a part of the series. And I think for me where it comes from is two places. One being a preteen and a teen and being obsessed with X-Men and having that interesting, you know, balance in your life of you're going through the awkward stages of growing up and yet at the same time these heroes who are superhuman and have all these cool powers, they mean so much to you. And so there's the comedy of constantly balancing like kind of the nitty-gritty of your own life against these very aspirational characters. And so there's a lot of comedy inherent in that. And I think also too, you know, we take a more meta approach to superheroing. I'm always thinking about how would this look to like the hot dog vendor who's standing over there? Or, you know, like how would like the quick change superhero costume stuff appear to people who were in class with you in high school? So I like to kind of take that stuff that we usually just kind of say, oh, well, it's comics, we won't do with that, and kind of deconstruct it and create funny moments out of that.
I love that. We have a question. Where do you find inspiration for writing Miss Marvel? So you've been talking about that a little bit. When you're trying to sort of tie that into the larger things going on in the Marvel publishing, do you find that there's I want to do this, and you've been told no, you can't? Like, what's the balance of that?
Yeah.
You know, the fun thing and also the challenge about writing comics in a shared universe is you have to figure out where you fit, where the character fits, where your voice fits, and use those elements, while at the same time being respectful of the bigger picture that's going on in the universe as a whole, because it's not just your sandbox, it belongs to everybody. So for me, it's a matter of taking inspiration from my own daily life. I have two kids who are 3 and 5 who, you know, are not quite old enough to read Miss Marvel, though they know who she is. And so a lot of my anxiety as a parent, thinking about the world that they're going to grow up in, you know, they're half Egyptian, so they're going to have to navigate a world in which they're kind of in one world and another. And at the same time, also drawing inspiration from the big events that are going on in the Marvel U and trying to think, how do those apply? Like, what are the big ideas that we can extract from that? And it's great because it makes for really dynamic storytelling, and it makes it easier for me because I have so much to draw from.
So, as you said, your mother, what is it like writing for Kamala's parents? I mean, do you worry for Kamala?
I always say when people ask me, like, which character in the series do you identify with the most, I just say it's Ami and Abu, her parents. Because it's, you know, like, when you have kids, I think your priorities change and you wish the world was a different place than what it is, because you don't want them to have to deal with what you dealt with. You don't want them to have to face these things in their own lives. And so, you know, that's a big part of it. And also, you know, kind of growing from that, thinking about, okay, well, you know, other kids who are coming into comics right now, who are looking for books to read, you know, what do we need? What's still missing? How can we kind of provide something for them that is easy to get into, that you don't have to know all the 1970s, you know, continuity to get into, and at the same time being fun, being fresh, being relevant. So, I mean, like, I think that's kind of our challenge, and that's what brings us all, you know, to work every month, and it's just great fun.
And
no, that's what, I mean, I kind of straddle that because I have a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
And so when I'm reading Kamala, there's the part of me that's, you know, my internal 14-year-old that is still trying to figure out what's happening with my body and my place and who are my friends and what does everybody think of me. And then there's the parental part of me that's like, I'm going to be just as strict with her.
No, you can't watch that.
Exactly.
And speaking of the parents, that there's a great sort of street level world of like normal friends trying to have a normal life. Where do you pull ideas for sort of her real people life?
You know, I take a lot, I think, from my own high school experience, which, you know, it's a very vivid time in your life.
Yeah.
And I try to always remember, okay, you know, when I was that age and there was that tension of who do I want to be when I grow up? Do I follow my peers? Do I follow my parents? What do I do when there's a conflict between those two groups? And, you know, I think, like as you said, some of those questions and that anxiety never really leaves us.
Yeah.
And so it's like a really potent source, I think, of material. And it's all about pulling out the moments that resonate the most across generations. You know, the people who are picking up who are parents will identify with it, and the kids will identify with it as well. Hopefully, that's the plan.
Well, I love it.
Yeah,
I know
and
Tamara loves it.
Judging from the Kamalas we've seen on
Yes.
the floor, I think you are definitely finding a whole group of people who are identifying it, old and young.
So where can people find you online and around?
I'm always on Twitter at GWillowWilson. That's a great place to find me. I'm around the con for the rest of the weekend on a couple of panels this afternoon and tomorrow.
Excellent.
And yeah, so I will see you in the digital world or the real one.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us. You guys stick around here on Marvel Live. We are going to have the Breaking into Comics panel next, so you're going to have even more awesome stuff about comics coming up very soon right here on Marvel Live from San Diego Comic-Con 2016.